My baby. Hi, sweetheart. Hey guys, how are you? We've had a very eventful start to the week. We got a lot going on this week with medical appointments, and the last thing we needed was this. I'm going to take full responsibility of this, but I will probably defend anybody that's going to be a keyboard warrior on this. Just hear me out, please. Accidents happen. And I didn't want to say anything at first because I didn't know exactly what happened. Every once in a while, especially with excitement, dogs start barking and all of a sudden a scuffle breaks out and everybody piles on. And, that happens maybe 3 or 4 times a week, right? Usually when the staff comes over or something like that. Because, if you don't get it, if you don't acknowledge them soon enough, everybody's like, me. And then they're like, hey, me first, that kind of thing. So this morning, and they're getting used to, because we have more than half that are on our Happy How food. And this is not a plug for the food. The food's great, but that's not what this is about. Emmy's one of them. And so anytime the morning starts, we don't feed until about 10:30, 11 o'clock in the morning. And the reasons why is we want to make it late enough in the day that many of them, the small ones like Emmy, they actually get fed twice a day. But the larger ones, we've learned that we can feed them their amount once a day. And it eases a lot of the stress and the commotion and all that. But starting about 9:30, after the main cleaning is done, anybody that goes from the house through the mudroom into the garage, and the gate goes up, they're sitting there excited, waiting. Is it our turn? Is it our turn? And on top of that, we have larger dogs. And I'm going to sidebar a little bit. This is one thing I need to try to explain to everybody as concisely as I can. I'm here to help everyone I have to. And I get a lot of backlash on, why do you have so many and all this? And my immediate answer is, I don't trust you people, no offense. Because most of them would be dead right now. And I got a follow-up post tomorrow that's going to be very much on my soapbox about this. With the happy part of it, there's a new misfit coming. I'll explain it. Anyway, we have one who's learning her way, and she's never been, socialized. We can tell the ones that haven't been properly socialized because it's awkward when they see other dogs or they want to play with us. It's like, wow, why haven't you people taught them to love? Why haven't you people taught them to interact? Why haven't you, what are they, a possession? So anyway, off that soapbox, one of our newest members, Ginger, who is a sweetheart, she's rambunctious and she needs attention. And she likes all the other dogs, she just doesn't know how to play with them. But she very much gets excited when certain staff members come over, and she follows them religiously everywhere. They can't even put pads down. It's very cute to an extent. But when they go, and I've instructed the staff that I don't want any of the dogs unless it's time to go through. Those gates are there for a reason. I want them to go from the gates into the mudroom or into the garage. So anyway, Ginger always has an issue with that. She's bouncing up and down, jumping up and down at the gate. So, and I was up here this morning, Brittany was around the corner, and Wanda was in the garage when this happened. And I'm gonna tell you, the commotion lasted for all of maybe 2 seconds. And when Brittany, came around the corner, and then of course Wanda was right on her heels, and they saw what happened. And we didn't know what happened, but there was blood everywhere. And my biggest fear at first was, God forbid, is there a malicious dog? And Ginger, what we thought was the culprit, because she was in the middle of it, and there was only about 6 dogs there. What did Ginger do? Because she's actually, when somebody snaps at her because she's bouncing up and down, she fires back, and we got to watch that. So we're like, oh my God, Emmy's such a sweet girl. What happened? Getting to it. There's blood everywhere. Emmy's bleeding from the mouth. Brittany calls for me to come down. I come running downstairs, and like I said, blood everywhere. And we can't figure out why. There's blood coming out of her mouth, but there's nothing external. And at first we didn't catch that. All we thought was who attacked her. And I'm happy to say that the end result, there was no attack, and I'll explain it in a second. But I grabbed her by the lower jaw, and you could feel it. Something's up. Maybe a broken tooth, maybe the whole bridge, maybe the jaw. But we didn't know what. We couldn't find out where the blood's coming from, but her mouth is just bleeding. And of course, she's in shock, my poor little thing. The best we can figure out, and this is backed up by our doctors, is also why I didn't want to bring this to your attention first thing this morning, because I didn't want to. At the moment, I was very emotional. I was very stressed and leading it and assuming, like we all assume. And that's why I don't want the keyboard warrior comments, because we always make our assumptions based off of what limited information we have. And I had limited information this morning, and knowing the rambunctiousness of her and several others who we couldn't pinpoint that might have or might not have been there, was this a big dog jumping on a little dog? Was this a big dog being aggressive? And again, like I said, accidents do happen even with us, and I beat myself up more than you ever could. So what we've determined happened, Emmy was there as she always is. Emmy, Cookie, and Sugar are always there. Even though the Sugar and Cookie related, Emmy's not. They look like three sisters. They're always sitting at the gate as soon as it's close to feeding time, and they're so cute just sitting there. And my assumption is that Ginger did her thing, and she's jumping up and down and got a little rambunctious, and she came down on Emmy. And when she did, we have porcelain floors, and when she came down, she somehow, her weight and force pushed Emmy down to where what happened is that Emmy's face hit the floor so hard that her jaw is actually broken. And her jaw actually came through the gum in the cheek on the inside. And, you know, of course, we didn't notice at the time, freaking out. And again, very angry and misdirected at Ginger. And I'm glad I'd be calm and focus on the thing, or focus on the task at hand, which is get her to be safe. And I want to send a huge shout out right now to Middletown Veterinary Clinic. They're my vet. They're the ones that saw her today as an emergency. I could have taken her to the emergency vets, but I don't like that. The one that's close to us, I don't care for them. And the one that's far away, it's extremely expensive. And the more, because I had to go shower before I could take her and get changed and everything. So I got her upstairs and we're kind of examining her. And we're seeing as she's calming down and coming out of shock that the jaw is intact. It's not hanging down. She's able to open up her mouth and everything. And even though she's scared, she doesn't seem to be in a ton of pain. Of course, dogs handle it so much better than we do. So anyway, you know, cooler heads prevail. Took her in. Thank you, Dr. Owens, and thank you, staff, because not only did they save me what's potentially quite a bit of money, right? Because an emergency vet would have been able to do nobody would do the surgery today regardless, because all the orthopedics are always booked up, or the one closest actually has to send out for it. So just like we're having to do with her, we're gonna have to schedule an appointment and get it done. But basically, he saved me the drive time, the all over worrying throughout the day. He took us in as an emergency appointment, so it cost a little bit more. But I was able to get her in 15 minutes from my home. And he was able to say, hey, we're gonna do her as a check-in, meaning like we're gonna examine her and everything in my free time, because I have a full schedule today, but it's gonna require x-rays, and it's gonna require an examination. She's gonna have to go under anesthesia to get a real understanding of what's going on. And of course, you know, he alerted me within 30 minutes that it is going to have to go that route. It's not just a physical examination and some anesthesia or some anesthetic, but that she's going to have to go under it, and he's going to have to get x-rays and all that. Upon doing so, he was able to stitch her mouth up. He explained the extent of what's going on with her, and that she is going to have to see a specialist. And, you know, but that can come at a later date. He also informed me of the price tag, which again, you know, we just did Crash's fundraiser, so we don't expect another $6,000, which is where we're going with this. But that's on us. But I want you guys to know, you know, at the end of the day, she's home. She did just eat. That was his big concern, that if she didn't eat tonight or tomorrow, that she was going to have to get on a feeding tube. So I can't wait to call him tomorrow and say, dude, she ate like a champ when we got home. Obviously, we blended up her Happy How, completely pulverized it into a paste, and so that she could lick it up. But she is hungry. She's got her bandages are still on. They asked me to leave them on until about 9 o'clock tonight because she's so small. But anyway, I just want you guys to know, you know, accidents happen. We're not perfect. I'm ashamed of this, and each time something like this happens, guys, as you see, everything in this house continuously gets remodeled to the point where this house is going to have no physical street value when I go to sell it. Because who wants a house full of gates in every doorway and holes in the walls for doggy doors and everything we're doing? But that's not the point. Like we try every step of the way. And again, I'm going to get on my soapbox for just a second for anybody that sits there and says, well, why do you keep them all? And I will follow this up tomorrow. So pay attention to me tomorrow. I got a post with a new misfit tomorrow. And when you see the post with a new misfit, you'll hear me explain this in great detail. But I'm sick and tired of saying, why don't you adopt it to me? Well, I don't know who the hell you are. You're one of close to 1 million followers I have, and I don't mean this rudely, across all my social media from all over the country, if not all over the world. And I'm supposed to reach out and find you because you want this specific dog? No. When they come here, it's my obligation to keep them safe and to give them the best life possible. But even doing so with 100 dogs that roam free, even with 24-hour supervision, their accidents like this can happen, which is also why, and you mentioned, I don't know if I mentioned this yet, but honey, you told me to bring this up. This is why I limit the size of the dogs that come here. I want to save them all, guys. I would save pit bulls here if I could. I would save mastiffs and Great Danes, but it's just not feasible size-wise to do that, nor in the facility we have. So I need to keep them somewhat small, and I am very partial to the small broken ones, because the smaller and more broken you are, the more I feel like you need somebody like me in your corner, you know, to be there for you, since nobody else ever was. And that's been my position on life ever since, you know, I've been a younger person. So I'm sorry, guys, I let this happen. You know, but you can see, even with constant supervision, if those of you that say, hey, Bobby, you know, what does it take to have a sanctuary like yours? Well, this is it. Constant supervision around the clock. Sacrifice your personal life. You don't have a life anymore because they are your life and they are so important. And even doing that, you are going to have things like you guys have 2 or 3 kids. How many times your kids been outside playing and somebody broke their damn arm playing on the swing set, right? Things happen, and this is one of those things, but it's amplified when it's somebody so delicate and sweet and tiny as her. So it's been a very stressful day, but we do have her home tomorrow. We're gonna be calling the specialist, seeing when we can get her in. Unfortunately for her, I mean, she's healed up as best she can now. It's probably gonna be a few weeks before I can get her in. Unfortunately, that's just how these things work. So my doctor wants a 24-hour update. He wants to see her in 7 days. We're going to be weighing her and everything else, and he wants every bit of, like, this is why I love you, Dr. Owens. Thank you. He's involved. Like I said, he took her right away, and he cares, and that's what I love about him. So that's what the near future is going to provide. I'll be doing updates on her as we go, obviously. And I just wanted to say thank you guys and prayers for her. This is like, it breaks my heart when even if it's an accident, when the sweet little ones have something wrong with them or happen to them, it's not fair. It's not fair to any of them, obviously. It's not fair to somebody my size to have something like that happen, right? But, you know, the bigger and stronger you get, the more it's just supposed to be like, okay, well, sorry for it, but you can take it. But not with these guys. It breaks my heart every time. So, you know, we're going to be taking a lot of extra care and attention with her. And she is, from here on out, probably because of the trauma in my mind, even though it wasn't a malicious trauma, it was just a shock. Emmy is now going to be a permanent Breakfast Clubber and roaming up here with everybody, where she'll get to be seeing Jaws and Cooper and all the little babies in my room. I mean, it's kind of like we have 2 floors of sanctuary here. So thank you guys for tuning in on this. And yeah, it's been a very stressful day, but she's home. She's safe. We've patched her up as best we can for right now. She got somewhat of a dental today, so that's good. We got the bad teeth out. Since we were in there, might as well anyway, right? And thank you. I'm just gonna put this out there. I know you guys are always so generous and everything, but anybody that wants to donate towards us, it doesn't go towards this, obviously, because I've already paid for it. But you know, we got several going in later on this week and in the future. So I'll leave the phone number, if you guys want to call in and do that. And feel even just shitty even saying that, but you know, that is what helps us pay the medical bills. And as you can see, unfortunately, sometimes they come up very unexpectedly.